Hey, what's up guys? Matt from Mankind here. Today I just wanted to give you a documentary on reptilians. As I've stated in previous videos, these creatures come from underground. Their access to our Earth is through volcanoes and deep caves. With the help of humans, they've even built bases all the way down or all the way up, either way you look at it. In these areas, this is where hell begins basically, and sick things go on. There are reports of child trafficking and cloning in these bases. I found an interesting clip from SGT Report on YouTube.
And in doing some research, I came across the name of this man, Stephen D. Kelly, who claims that the Getty Center in Los Angeles is a multi-billion-dollar structure built to house the art collection of the Getty Foundation. John Paul Getty was given a knighthood by Queen Elizabeth when it was completed. Now ask yourself, why would Getty get a knighthood from the Queen? The reality, he says, is that this is a front for a fortress protecting an elevator that goes down into a deep underground sanctuary intended to house the royal family in the future should it be necessary. He says the entire structure and the complete system of underground structures is also home to a satanic empire that provides massive amounts of children for pedophilia, ritual abuse, and sacrifice with consumption.
This is the part I want you to listen to. There's 100,000 child sex slaves under the Getty right now. They are being molested, tortured, eaten while they're alive. They're treated like cattle.
I realize this stuff is hard to hear, but we really need to pay more attention to it all. Another disturbing underground activity is all the cloning. Cloning didn't start or stop with Dolly.
Dolly is the name of the first mammal, yes, a sheep, ever to be born as the result of cloning. Cloned from an adult sheep in a laboratory. If a lamb, why not a man?
She's an identical copy of an older sheep.
People expected that maybe at some time it would happen, but maybe we've been a little bit quicker than they expected.
A single cell from her mammary gland, including its nucleus, the command center containing all the genes, the DNA, that determine the sheep's individual physical characteristics, eyes, nose, hair. Then they took an egg from a second sheep, removed its nucleus, and replaced it with a cell from that first sheep. The egg and its new nucleus then fused together, turning into an embryo, but with all the genetic characteristics of the first sheep and none of the second. In effect, a carbon copy, an exact duplicate of the first. All that was left was to put this developing embryo into a third sheep, a host sheep, which carried it to term.
The key to this experiment was to induce the genetic information of a very specialized cell from an adult, in this case a mammary gland cell, to go back through development to produce an entire new animal.
We've succeeded in setting up a system which will work sometimes, but we don't remotely begin to understand why. It's just happens from time to time.
It took nearly 300 tries to create this one lamb.
Company here, BGI, has the world's largest number of gene sequencing machines. These devices analyze the DNA from people, plants, animals, bacteria. This place illustrates the phenomenal rise of Chinese science. It's also the world's largest animal cloning center, and that's what's going on in here. They've developed a new technique. They call it handmade cloning, far cheaper, far easier than the normal technique that goes on in laboratories. It means they can produce about 500 cloned animals every year. And this is the result of the work we saw in the lab. In this one shed, there are 90 pigs, each carrying cloned embryos.
See, cloning isn't even that hard. They even do splicing where you put two different animals together. Now, I believe in the flat earth model, as well as my Matt's theory model. So this allows for lower dimensional beings to exist and to rise up and try to take over different parts of different dimensions. Hollywood hints at this often, with different space creatures being reptilian and different journeys to the center of the earth being to deal with dinosaurs. Numerous people have stated seeing significant things underground. Tribes all over the plane have talked about people coming from underground. These people are usually described as scaly, reptilian, or bug-like, even often having horns. Many people are afraid of amphibians, reptiles, and bugs, kind of like how a monarch butterfly knows where to go, even while its generations are dying, it gets to its destination. This is why I believe that they are focusing so hard on MK Ultra and the Monarch program, because they don't want us to remember through our DNA what they've done to us. These creatures may be the fallen ones, and they somehow possess many of our leaders and influential people. This can be seen in some of the disgusting pictures at Comet Ping Pong. It shows a somewhat transparent entity controlling a human doing horrible things, clearly showing possession. Many of these elite willing to be possessed. They lower your frequency enough to control you, dumbing down your conscious any way they can. This keeps you perfectly dumb and distracted, allowing them to run free, doing whatever they please. This isn't science fiction. This is what's actually going on. They are literally trying to drag us to hell with them by taking on their habits. Almost every ancient text describes some sort of serpent or dragon or reptile that is evil. In Chile, there's a large man-eating mythical creature that lives in volcanoes. In places in the US like Ohio, Washington, and South Carolina, there have been reports of lizard people. In 1982, Dale Russell, the curator of vertebrate fossils at the National Museum of Canada in Ottawa, explained that evolution could cause dinosauroids. Now, evolution or not, he saw something. He noticed that some of these dinosaur brains were comparable to humans, at least the space available for them. He also noticed that they had 3 fingers where they could use tools. Now, oddly enough, he suspected that some of these were toothless, and they have internal genitals. This is interesting, knowing a lot of elite are trannies. He also speculated that these animals would sing to talk in a frequency perhaps higher than we can hear. I'm not sure. He ran into a lot of criticism because they noticed that his findings were so human. Knowing the information we know today, this is probably because they are part human and part reptile, or they are their own creature altogether, upright. I hope this has given you some more answers to the what and whys of reptilians. Have an awesome day, you guys, and get some sun.